my name is Maurice LaMee. People call me Mo. I'm the artistic director of the Creede Repertory Theatre, and I'm real proud to be part of the Master Talent Teachers. I've been the artistic director for 11 years of the theater and had a freelance career prior to that as a director and actor. So I've done about 10 to 15,000 auditions that I've seen over the years, and feel like I have something that I can offer to you as you endeavor to have a life in the theater. The number 7 reason you won't get the theater job is actually probably should be the number 1 reason, because it's the reason for the most part that you're not going to get the job, and that is that you're simply, for whatever reason, not right for the role. You're either too tall or too short or too skinny or too large or whatever it might be. You may not know the right person. You may just not be what the director is looking for or the casting director is looking for, and that 95% of the time is actually the deal. It has nothing to do with how good an audition you gave or how successful you were when you were giving your audition. Zelda Fitzhandler actually wrote an article in American Theater magazine a couple of years ago about this, and she said that she sort of aspired to a day when we had non-traditional casting as a uniform thing throughout the theater, where gender or type didn't have anything to do with casting. But unfortunately we are not there yet, and most producers are fairly conservative, and so most of the time the reason you didn't get the job is that you were simply not right for the role. And so give yourself a break. Know that going into an audition you're probably not going to get the job because you're not right. And so you got to just keep going out there and auditioning and auditioning and auditioning, and that's the most important thing. If over time you're not getting many roles, then it might be a time to reconsider what you're doing. But if you keep after it and you're getting roles, mostly it's because you were right for the role and somebody saw something in you that they needed. Okay, so the following reasons that you aren't going to get the job have much more to do with things that you can have control over. The first thing, you don't have any control over, and so don't worry about it. The next 6 things actually you do have some control over and really can make a difference in your ability to get the job. The number 6 reason is that your headshot doesn't actually look like you. And so when you walk out on the stage and I'm looking down at you and I look up, there's a disconnect there. And that disconnect doesn't serve you, because what I'm looking for is people that have some awareness of who they are as people. And I just want an open, friendly, easy, professional looking shot. There's some, a lot of shots are coming in as color shots now. I don't care if they're color or black and white. I just want an easy picture that looks like you. And it doesn't matter what you look like. I just want something that is easy, friendly, open, looks like you. I don't want anything that's too, attitudinal or too glamour or any of those things. I just want a straight-on kind of nice look of what you look like. So the number 5 reason you won't get the job is that you actually don't have the training sufficient to get the job. And this is a difficult thing because the training that's required to be a really good actor really takes years to accomplish. And it's not only because you have to learn the fundamentals of acting, which are simple ideas but take a lot of practice, but it's also the things of speech, being able to sustain the vocal strength and the support to get you through an entire season, an entire run. Sometimes you're doing 8 shows a week. Most of the time, once you're in a regional theater, you're doing 8 shows a week. You might even be doing more. And if you don't have those technical skills under your belt, you're going to fall apart over time. And so when I'm watching an audition, I'm looking both for those acting skills, but also, do you have the speech skills? Do you have the technical skills? Can you move? Can you do those things? And you're not going to get those unless you haven't gone through some fairly rigorous training. I think you actually have to do a little homework about where you're going to get that training, because there seem to be a lot of programs out there that are insufficient in the training they're providing. The most basic thing is, are you getting training about the fundamentals of acting, which is playing intention, which we will get into in just a few minutes. That may not seem like a big deal, but when you get 1,000 to 1,500, sometimes 2,000 cover letters a year and resumes and headshots, that to whom it may concern is just a little indicator that you haven't really done your homework, and you need to do your homework about it. A simple, "Dear Mo LaMee, I like the work you're doing," makes a big difference in terms of me taking the next step about finding out more about you. And the other thing that can be very helpful, in addition to writing that title out and writing out a little something about your investigation of the company, is it's also very helpful to actually send either a DVD or a YouTube link, because the resume and headshot is actually not going to be enough to get you get me to investigate you any further. I've just got too many other things to do and too many people to look at to go any further than that. So do a little homework about it, and also send some sort of link. YouTube is great. At least that'll get us in the next step of the conversation if we want to proceed forward. So the number 3 reason you won't get the job is that you're not aligned with your type in terms of your audition material. And this is kind of a tough one, because you have to sort of know who you are and how you're perceived by other people. A lot of actors, I think, in their first audition want to show how great their range is. And actually, I'm not very interested in how great your range is to start with, because really what I'm looking for is, are you aligned with sort of your own type? You know, it's not useful to do, you know, King Lear if you're, you know, 25 years old, or to play a middle-aged person working on their 3rd marriage if you're 25 years old. It's much more important to do something that's more relevant to who you are in terms of your own life and your own experience, because I'm never going to cast you as those other things. So if you can start with just doing something that's kind of close to who you are and doing that well and clearly, that's a good first step, and then we can find out about range later on. This can take on a lot of different forms, but usually it's just the problem that when you've rehearsed a show, you've had the 3 or 4 weeks, sometimes only 2, rehearsal under your belt. And that gets that part, gets those words in your mouth, gets the muscles knowing what they're supposed to do. And so it's great for falling back on when those nerves start getting the best of you. And in an audition situation, inevitably, nerves are going to start coming up, your breath gets short, you're distracted by whatever, and you really need to be able to rely on that muscle memory to kick in, to allow that intention to kick in, to really know that stuff so innately, so deeply, that those other distractions don't get in the way. And a lot of times what I see is just actors that I can still see them thinking about, you know, what they're doing or what the next line is or whatever it might be. They're not really playing intention, and that's what I'm looking for. So the number 1 reason that you won't get the job is that you don't know the basics of acting. And this is always a bit surprising to me, but something that I see just over and over and over again, and that is that you don't know how to play an objective. You don't know how to play intention. You don't know how to play I want. Those are all 3 ways of saying essentially the same thing, which is that all story is motivated by one person needing something, wanting something, and another person wanting something, and you create this conflict. And that's what story's based on. That's what good acting is always rooted in, is in that I want. You go to a little kids play, and you see little kids moving on the stage. What's so fun to watch is when a little kid is distracted by needing to tie their shoes, or needing to hide or needing to pick their nose or whatever it might be. And that's always more interesting than everything else that's going on, because intention is so heightened at that point. And so there's this intention going on that's a mismatch with the story that's going on. And it's wonderful to watch in those kinds of settings. It's not what we're looking for when we're putting on a play. And it's not what we should be achieving when we're in an audition. And I see it a lot, which is that actors either trying to impress me, and so their intention is impressing me, or their intention is getting the job, or their intention is doing something that has very little to do with the character actually trying to get what they want. And that's really all I'm ever looking for, is at the very least, is an actor able to do that simple thing? Can they rid themselves of all the other distractions to simply do the one thing, which is to play I want? Do it, and that'll help you get the job.